Sabam, we welcome you and we look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Thank you, moderator. I think it's an unfortunate decision to ask Ambassador Bill Farmer as moderator of this particular panel, because he himself radiates this positive perception of Indonesia that makes my job difficult in presenting a more realistic version of Indonesia. I think the source of problem of perception or misperception in the case of Indonesia is Indonesia itself. I don't think there is such a large archipelagic state such as Indonesia in whatever parts of the world. And sometimes we Indonesians, we do not realize that. As I travel throughout Indonesia, and I've done it frequently the last 8 months, although I'm not getting younger, I sometimes wonder that whether our founding fathers in 1945, just because the Dutch East Indies covered such a territory and then proclaim it as a territory of Republic of Indonesia. As I said to my fellow Indonesians, if you superimpose the map of Indonesia on the map of Europe on the same scale, it covers an area from London to Ankara. As Gita said, we are a very productive nation. The last census says there are 237 million and so forth Indonesians, but 65% of them live in the island of Java. And this discrepancy of demography is a source of many, many problems. All religions of the world, except one or two, are represented in Indonesia. If statistics say that 15% of those Indonesians are non-Muslim, it's a two-dimensional picture, because who are those non-Muslims? Like where my parents come from, a pocket in North Sumatra. So you have pockets of non-Islam throughout Indonesia. Bali, of course, was Hindu. Papua, and 90%. So how to keep this country together and how to report on it, how to cover that, I don't envy my Australian friends or even Indonesian friends. That's about Indonesia. But of course, in the case of Indonesia and Australia, and how do we see each other, there must be a permanent theme in developing mutual perception of each other. In realistic geostrategic terms, do we, Indonesia and Australia, need each other? Yes, definitely we do. As I often said, whether I was ambassador here or as a private person, there's a symmetry of geostrategic interest between Indonesia and Australia. Now, that's a fancy phrase. Well, we can spend hours here to explain it. Developing Indonesia, large population, a modern Australia, about 20 million, so not that threatening to us actually, but your modernity, that's what we want to grab so that we can do our quantum jump as fast as possible. But that's easier said than done, you know. For Australia, of course, to maintain a stable and progressing Indonesia is of vital importance. As Ambassador Greg Moriarty said in the Australia Day speech last January 26, that a stable and prosperous Indonesia is vital for Australia. And the Little Jakarta Post is doing a little contribution by printing that speech in 2 parts. So I think we owe some money to Ambassador Greg Moriarty, although he is not supposed to receive honorarium. However, perceptions on Indonesia, and not in particular Australia, it has its ups and downs. I have a collection of magazines of 1998. That is the crisis year where the financial crisis hit Indonesia, and when President Suharto resigned, just to give to you a picture. Beginning of 1998, Newsweek already had a cover of Indonesia's meltdown. And Time come up with Indonesia on the edge. That's beginning of 1998. And of course, the climax was about May. Asia Week, when Suharto resigned. Asia Week is now a defunct magazine, comes with this cover, The End Game. How they got a picture of Suharto, they must have a very good file. The Economist has a better one, also on May 98. Gun at last. And Asia Week said, we want change. It's so interesting, you know. We had these headlines 11 years earlier than what happened now in North Africa, in Middle East, and in the Gulf. But it just shows, and I differ a bit with Gita in this luncheon speech, how we've overcome it. It's not sheer luck. I remember many conversations with Elaine Farmer. I had more serious conversations with Elaine Farmer than with the husband, His Excellency, the Ambassador, Bill Farmer. What keeps Indonesia together, you know? Certainly the authoritarian regime, you know. There must be an underlying bondage. Since 1928, the youth pledge of having one country, Indonesia, one people, Indonesia, and especially one language, Bahasa Indonesia. The Bahasa Indonesia, you know, is spoken by almost 400 million people in Southeast Asia. I tell you a story about, I know it is on the record, but perhaps they will delete this particular part, lest we have problems with Timor-Leste. The current president, His Excellency Ramos Horta, came in 74, 75, you know, 75, to Jakarta. After the Flower Revolution in Portugal, I was then editor of Sinar Harapan. I sent a reporter to Dili, and he came back with pictures and stories. And then later, he introduced me, his friend, is my friend. The name is Ramos Horta. Could he be a guest of our paper? I said, what does it mean, guest? Oh, we give him some pocket money. And for 2 weeks, Ramos Horta was in Jakarta meeting people and so forth. When he was going back, he paid farewell to me. So in our conversation, I remember I pulled an atlas of Southeast Asia. I said, Ramos, where you come from? He pointed to a small enclave. Where's Republic of Indonesia? I said. He said, I asked him, I know what you mean. He said, no, you don't know what I mean. I said, whatever happened, that's up to the government. But if you see this map, you know, the Bahasa Indonesia covers such an area. So I think there will be new developments with Timor-Leste, with Timor, East Timor. It would be very good if you introduce the Bahasa Indonesia to East Timor. And as you know now, you know, I just attended the press day in Kupang, and we invited the Deputy Prime Minister Guterres. As you know now, even in the villages of Timor-Leste, Bahasa Indonesia is spoken, grammatically more correct than we in Jakarta. So that's one of the binding factors. But how do you cover that, you see? It's not easy to cover. You can cover about riots, about floods, about Marapi, and so forth. And that's why the task, my previous colleagues already alluded to that, the task of both of us, in this case, Australia-Indonesia Business Council, Indonesia-Australia Business Council, to do our part in building a new generation of journalists and whatever media. People say now the printed media is in a decline. In order to have this capability and also this understanding, how to cover that. One example lately, and I have asked permission from Pak Nico Kiroyan, there's a story in North Sumatra, there's a mining company there now working. It's Hong Kong money, but Australian and English management and skill. A mining company with an investment of 400 million. They will US dollars. They will be in production at the end of this year. So far, no Indonesian newspaper has covered that. And I doubt whether Australian newspaper has covered that. Correct me if I am wrong. There used to be a bureau of the Australian Financial Review in Jakarta. And I befriended them because the correspondence of Australian Financial Review always knows about that. Now, the gold mine company there, in a reception, Nico Korean, who was related to that company, introduced me to the management. Why I'm interested is the story is with regional autonomy now. Why can they be so successful in North Sumatra, south of Aceh, building now, but in developing mining company, you have to deal not only with the governor, but with the regency level, with the informal leaders in that area. And in this case, it's South Tapanuli. My parents come from North Tapanuli, Christians, South Tapanuli, Islam. But we Bataks, we share the same ritual and the same festivities. And it's very interesting if you see our Adat feast, how we serve the meal. We coded the table. This table pork is served, and that table pork is not served. But it's the same ritual. And now in South Tapanuli, even further south, the people are very, very, very religious. But a mining company of that size, as I was informed, since Newman Mine in 1998, this is the largest investment that is functional and will be on stream, and yet underreported. That's, I think, the shortcomings that I still feel part of the media. Is the shortcoming of the media on both sides, or even around the world.